Hi everyone, and welcome to our next episode. In our previous episodes, we've looked at movements away from legacy components to Fabric, but let's take a step back and look more holistically at Fabric as a modern data platform. So once again, we're joined by our resident expert, Dan Knott, who leads our data and AI practice. So Dan, I personally believe that Fabric is a bit of a game changer in terms of being able to manage data throughout its life cycle. Could you explain its unification of data and the modern data platform that Fabric is?
Certainly. I guess first off, it really does bring a lot of the tools that is known and probably used in various capacities in a modern analytics architecture previously. So it's consolidated that into a software as a service offering. So it's all consolidated in a capacity-based model. Really does, and that sort of offers the end-to-end spectrum there. So right away from data ingestion to data storage, to data transformation, to data visualization. And then around that, you've got things such as the machine learning capabilities or even real-time data analytics where you can ingest data in real time, model that in Power BI. So you've got a lot of the capabilities mixed in that traditionally you would have had different services in an Azure environment. So consolidating them is one aspect. In terms of a unified sort of approach, bringing that data, it doesn't matter where that data sits in your data estate, whether that's in Microsoft Azure, whether that's in other cloud providers, bring that data into one centralized area. And what is one of the real big benefits, capabilities around shortcuts and mirroring, as an example, it allows you to bring all that data into one place. And then you don't have duplicates of this data. So often we hear when we talk with customers, different departments might extract data, consuming their own departmental warehouses, duplicates of data going all over it's very hard to govern, in terms of security, and having access to that data can often be a trouble. So having it all under one roof with a lot of tools, a lot of capability within that is a game changer. So bringing all your company's data into one place and using a variety of services in a capacity-based model really does streamline the sort of total cost of ownership, but also the data lifecycle in terms of where data is being used. You can govern and access and use that data for various use cases and different personas within the business.
I'm a big fan of the activator feature because you can actually do actions based on the condition of your data. And I think that becomes really compelling in terms of its ability to integrate with other Azure services to start automating outcomes. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the platform. I think it works well. For me, it's very similar as a value proposition to 365. As a suite, it's excellent. It's the best in the market in terms of 365. And in terms of a data platform, I feel that Fabric is in the same place, except the rate of change seems to be even faster. So this is a large platform. I suspect that's going to have some kind of impact then, maybe through economies of scale on cost. Can you talk about scalability and cost control?
Certainly the sort of straightforward answer to this question is around the simplicity of the pricing model. So you basically pay for a capacity. Within that capacity, you get access to services. So it really is separated the traditional model of having that consumption-based model where you would pay for storage and you're paying for consumption. Here, you do pay for the storage and you pay for the capacity. That makes it a lot easier when you are, especially like we mentioned earlier, on the costs of storing data. Data can be quite expensive to store, so having it in one lake is a good starting block. Equally, tools like shortcutting or shortcuts, as it's known within Microsoft Fabric, having the ability to leave the data where it is, but have a virtual copy of that data in one lake is an extremely powerful capability that is a benefit to businesses because it removes the complexity of maybe ETL processes. So you've got that scalability where it comes in and that cost efficiency of storing data, and automating some of those processes can be sometimes in a complex way. But also from a scalability, you can start very little with an F2. Very good entry price point if you want a development environment that you want to have a sandbox environment and play with. But equally, from a production environment, it's very easy to scale up and down and manage those workloads within a Fabric capacity. Equally, if you are hitting the roof, as it were, of a capacity, you can look to, scale up to meet the demand as and when you need to around the business. So if you have some high processing requirements, you can look at and manage those accordingly within Fabric and use the options there to scale in terms of meeting the business needs.
Okay, that's wonderful. So given those scalable capabilities and that efficiency, that says to me that potentially there's an opportunity to say, well, okay, well, I've got a traditional model, I've moved to Fabric, and that's driven some cost efficiencies. Could that budget be reallocated, for example, to advanced analytics or real-time processing?
Yes, I guess, in and around that, there are some capabilities within Fabric on there already. So you've got access to machine learning models within Fabric, is worth noting. In terms of AI, you can definitely look to consume maybe some AI services outside. So the budget you may have spent on a more traditional pre-existing data platform and decommissioning some of those services, that budget could be utilized maybe, creating some AI services, some AI capabilities, for services to your customers or internally to help with productivity, as an example. But Fabric itself does have the capability to utilize sort of, let's say, the machine learning models out the box. It's got some elements of AI as well. I think one of the previous questions earlier, you mentioned about Copilot within Power BI, but there's also Copilot within Fabric that can, depend on the SKU, but you can get productivity benefits there as well. And then you've got the real-time streaming analytics as well. So the ability to ingest data in real time, but equally you've got the ability to fundamentally store in one lake structured and unstructured data. So it's a real game changer around there and the capabilities it can offer with some of the advancements in Fabric, but equally with becoming AI ready for your organization.
Yeah, that leads me on kind of nicely to my next point about sort of being not just AI ready, but AI powered decision making, where you can make more holistic decisions because you have greater visibility across your estate. Can you speak to how Fabric enables organizations to become more data driven and what role AI might play in that?
Certainly, I guess it starts with the machine learning and data science tools. They're embedded within Fabric, so you have the capability of using Synapse Data Science, for instance, pre-built models. So dependent on the maturity of your your data team and your business, you can look to build out models very straightforward and easily with a low-code approach. Obviously, if you do have a more sort of dedicated data science team, you can utilize some of the sort of Spark notebooks and build out more advanced machine learning models as an example. But you've got the capability already there to service that, which is a game changer in itself. So really, Fabric says, its model is get the data into one lake, make sure that data is trusted and reliable, and then consume that in a variety of use cases such as analytics or machine learning or AI. So again, the Azure OpenAI services can embed and read data from Fabric, use that trusted and reliable and that golden data set for AI models. So there's a lot of capability in which you can achieve AI readiness with Fabric. And then there's, like you mentioned earlier, around the AI embedded in with some of the tooling as well, such as, having AI write notebooks, have AI write pipelines, have AI, AI is embedded in basically pretty much every step of the life cycle within Fabric, within its Copilot as well. So, but it's worth noting that you do need an F64 license for that. But, that does offer some productivity benefits in terms of creating that time to value is a real benefit for organizations when they are looking at proving value, especially around machine learning models as such, and getting that data prepped. So writing those pipelines can be complex and sometimes a timely task. So lots of time-saving ability there with some of the tooling, especially around the AI, productivity tools that Microsoft are pushing into Microsoft Fabric outside of the services that are there as well, such as, AI insights, ability to have that data consumed for Gen AI as an example, or chatbots. So there's a lot of possibilities on what can be done with AI and machine learning and so forth. It's very much there for helping businesses become an AI first business, as it were.
So I would encourage anybody who's technical in the audience that's listening to this. Microsoft have a wonderful guided lab for using machine learning, because you hear machine learning, you think, that's big and scary and complex. And actually understanding the fundamental principles by going through this lab, anything's like 20, 25 minutes, they provide a data set for you. It's a guided, do this, do this, do this. They provide you all the sort of things that you drop into the notebooks, you press play, and ultimately it spins up some hardware to do the number crunching as part of that machine learning model. They provide you with a data set, but it teaches you the sort of components as you go. And what you'll realize, actually, machine learning in terms of fundamentals isn't terribly complicated. Using your own data in more complex pipelines, yes, that's why they're called data scientists. It can get more complicated, but I would encourage you to understand the fundamental principles, because there's potentially a lot of untapped value that is readily accessible if you get that kind of foundational knowledge. You can actually then interpret, oh, now I get that. I can now see the benefit a machine learning customized model might have for my organization, and that will set you on the journey. So yeah, just got to have a look. I think it's based on credit card, and credit card fraud is the lab example that they give. So I'd encourage you to go and do that. And just in terms of the let's talk about multi-cloud, because for all the I think I read a report recently, I think 88% of organizations are multi-cloud in some way, and obviously having that kind of flexibility to be able to accommodate different, data might be in Salesforce, data might be in an AWS bucket, it can be in a variety of different places. How does Fabric support a hybrid approach?
So yeah, in terms of its hybrid approach, it's probably one of its best features there, and with the one they can, mentioning shortcuts and mirroring, and so there's a lot of capability coming. There's a lot of capability there already. So ingesting data from a variety of sources, whether it's in other cloud providers or on-premise. So yeah, often organizations might be in a hybrid or multi-cloud capability. So the tooling there allows data to be ingested from pretty much any data source from its location, and it doesn't really matter. So it breaks that barrier down of, my data is held in AWS. I need, how can I bring this data in? There's capabilities, there's tooling out there that can, ingest and bring this data in. So it allows customers as well, especially in other industries that potentially may need to keep some of their applications on premise, but from an analytics perspective, can utilize some of the capabilities in the cloud as a starting point. Again, perfect for those organizations where you can connect to on-prem data sets and bring that in. So really does ensure compliance as well as data residency around that data, safeguarding that data, but and maintaining that scalability and flexibility in its approach of, whether you're a hybrid, multi-cloud, or on-premise.
Yeah, and just before I sort of wind out there, we could talk for a long time around security and compliance, because it is a broad landscape with a lot of depth. But I think it's probably worth just reiterating or reassuring the audience that the security capabilities within Fabric, they are robust. They support lots of different standards, support GDPR, HIPAA, it supports encryption. It supports both in transit and at rest. There are a whole bunch, and then you have the integration capabilities with Microsoft Purview to go and get further insights. So it's tight integration with both standards and additional Microsoft technology give organization the security and compliance peace of mind that they need. I think it's probably worth going into security in a different episode in more detail. But for now, Dan, I'd like to say thank you very much for your time. I very much appreciate it. And for the audience, if you're looking to adopt Fabric in a more meaningful way and you want to go and engage with us to help you on that journey, please feel free to reach out to us. So thanks for your time, and I'll see you in the next episode.